Hello everyone, we're back. In today's video, we've got another trade tree video here to discuss. In today's video, we are going back to 2019 at the trade deadline. That's the Washington Capitals got a defensive upgrade at the time, and a very interesting swap with Detroit that's still helping the Washington Capitals to this day. We'll get to this updated deal coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to without all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for more videos coming out in the very near future. And if you guys want me to do a trade tree that you personally want to see me do, let me know down in the comment section below. But in today's video, we've got another trade tree video here. Now, when I first started doing these trade tree videos a couple of months back before the trade deadline, I did one involving Detroit and Washington, if I'm correct. It was the Mantha for Vrana swap, where Mantha was dealt to Washington for Vrana and a couple of picks. I did that one. You guys can go check out on my channel. But this is a different one, also between Washington and Detroit. This was back in 2019. So just before the trade deadline in 2019, between the Washington Capitals and the Detroit Red Wings, the Capitals were looking to bolster their defensive core because they still were coming off a pretty decent season the year prior, winning the Stanley Cup. They were trying to go for the repeat, so they wanted to bolster their blue line. So they were able to hook up on a deal with the Detroit Red Wings, and the trade was as follows. The Detroit Red Wings acquired Madison Bowey as well as a 2020 second round pick from the Washington Capitals in exchange for defensive player Nick Jensen and a 2019 fifth round pick. So first look at this trade, the Caps got a low-end draft pick as well as a solid top four defensive-minded defenseman, while the Red Wings got a promising young defensive prospect as well as a second round pick. So it was a pretty good haul there for the Red Wings, and the Caps got pretty decent defensemen in return. So look at this trade from both sides. We'll start with the Detroit Red Wings. Now we'll start with the Detroit Red Wings and the Madison Bowey side. So for the Red Wings, he would finish up the season, the 18-19 season after the trade, with the Detroit Red Wings putting up a goal and 4 points in 17 games. The following season, in the 1920 season, played majority of the NHL level, also played a little bit of the AHL level, putting up an assist in one game of AHL action, but also had 3 goals and 17 points, which was a career high in 53 NHL games. Was looking good. But at the end of the 1920 season, after all the COVID shortened stuff and things like that, he wasn't qualified. He wasn't brought back. So he actually turned to a UFA and left and wound up signing a 2-year deal in Chicago. So very interesting note there. But after being one of the prized pieces that they got in the Nick Jensen deal, Bowey only spent a year and a half in Detroit before he left as a UFA. So very interesting note there, but that branch ends as Bowey leaves as a UFA. Going over to that 2020 second round pick. Now the 2020 second round pick will be 55th overall in the 2020 draft, and the Red Wings would actually keep it. And with the 55th overall pick in the 2020 draft, the Detroit Red Wings selected Kross Hanas. Now Hanas signed a 3-year ELC a couple of years back with an AV of $860,000. So there's a decent prospect there. He's currently 23 years old. He was playing over in juniors when he was drafted. He spent a couple more seasons in juniors. Then in the 22-23 season, he had 9 goals and 17 points in 30 AHL games. Following season, had 8 goals and 16 points in 58 AHL games. Last year, had 9 goals and 17 points again, and this time 58 AHL games. But he was an RFA this year, and the Red Wings actually decided to not qualify him. So he's currently a UFA. So that's another wasted piece of this trade for the Detroit Red Wings. Hanas looked like he had some potentials, maybe being like a bomb 6 forward eventually, but it wound up not being the case. So very interesting note there. There were other guys available at that time when they had the 55th overall pick in the 2020 draft, such as Lorai, such as Nikishin, such as Foodie, such as Marolina. Like there were a couple of really good players who are currently either fringe NHLers or pretty much NHLers, but they wound up going with Hanas, and it never really worked out for the Red Wings because he left and he's now a UFA. So very interesting note there. But both Bowey and Hanas never really turned out for the Detroit Red Wings. They both left as UFAs, and they're at this current point in time have nothing to show for the Nick Jensen trade. So very interesting note there. So now going over to the Washington Capitals side. For the Capitals side, this trade actually worked out quite well for them. Jensen was in the final year of his deal when he was traded by Detroit to Washington. He wound up signing a 4-year extension in the offseason with an AV of $2.5 million. He finished out the season with 5 assists in 20 games with the Washington Capitals, which was pretty good. good. The following season, he had 8 assists in 68 games, which wasn't anywhere close to a career high for him. The following season, during the shortened season, he had 2 goals and he had 14 points, which was one shy of a career high in 53 games, so he was actually looking quite good. Then he puts together a career high season in 21-22 season, putting up 5 goals, which was a career high, and 21 points in 76 games. Still not a whole bunch of really great offensive production, but really solid defensive-minded guy. In the 22-23 season, he has his current best season at NHL level, putting up 5 goals and 24 assists for 29 points in 77 games. Looked great during the 22-23 season. Then entering the 23-24 season, he signed a 3-year extension with the AV of $4 million to remain with Washington. Wound up having a goal and 14 points in 78 games during that season with Washington. But with the Caps really trying to change up their blue line in the 2024 off season, and with Jensen starting to get up there in age, the Capitals would make a trade, and this was a big one that's still benefiting them to this day. The trade was as follows. The Washington Capitals dealt Nick Jensen plus a 2026 third-round pick to the Ottawa Senators for Jacob Chychrun. That was a massive move. It did get rid of Jensen, who had been a solid defensive-minded defenseman throughout the entire career he had in Washington. It also got rid of a third-round pick that they could have used at a later date, but it got them Jacob Chychrun, who has been a fantastic player since this trade. Chychrun was coming off a tied best for career high season with the Ottawa Senators the year prior, putting up 14 goals, 41 points in 82 games with Ottawa, so he was coming into the season looking really good for the Ottawa Senators, so it was a pretty good pickup here for Washington. In his first season with Washington last year, he put up 20 goals, 47 points in 74 games, which was a career high, almost at 50 points, broke the 20 goal mark as a defenseman. Like, Chychrun was all over the place. He was a great pickup for the Capitals, and then he was a pending UFA, so the Capitals, instead of letting him walk as a free agent, wound up signing him. He got an 8-year extension AV of $9 million. That's a beautiful deal there for the Capitals. I still think it's a tiny bit of an overpayment, but still, Chychrun's going to be a Capital for a long time. So acquiring Nick Jensen directly led to the Capitals acquiring Jacob Chychrun, which has improved their blue line drastically. So very interesting note there. And lastly, we're going over to the 2019 5th-round pick that the Washington Capitals got from Detroit. So going over to that 5th-round pick. Now, that 5th-round pick, that current season, wound up being, I think, 129th overall. But the Capitals would not use that selection. They made a trade with the New Jersey Devils on draft day. The trade was as follows. The New Jersey Devils acquired that 5th-round pick that Detroit had given to Washington, plus a 4th-round pick, 118th overall in the 2019 draft, which was Buffalo's, that the Washington Capitals also had, to New Jersey in exchange for the 91st overall pick in the 2019 draft. And with the 91st overall pick now in their arsenal, the Washington Capitals use it to select someone who's still on their roster right now. That's Alexei Protas. So it took Protas a little bit of time to get up to speed. I think he played over in juniors. He had a couple of really good seasons. His first taste of NHL action was during the 21-22 season, putting up 3 goals, 9 points in 33 games, which didn't look overly bad. The 22-23 season was a little bit better, played a little bit more games, playing in 58 games, putting up 4 goals and 15 points, which wasn't overly bad. The 23-24 season played his first full season at the NHL level, having 6 goals and 29 points in 78 games, which looked pretty good. He wound up signing a 5-year extension in Washington after that, and then last year broke out. 30 goals, 66 points in 76 games. One of the point drivers for the Washington Capitals last year, was a massive player for the Washington Capitals. I mean, 30 goals after his career high. Before that was 6. Massive jump from Protas. So Protas has turned into a really solid top 9, top 6 forward there for the Capitals. And once again, they identified a player they wanted in the draft. They traded up for him, used that pick that they got in Detroit, and it helped them get a solid top 9 forward who is still helping them to this day. So very interesting note there. If you look back at this, at the time, I think you could say that Detroit probably maybe won that trade because they got a 2nd-round pick and a decent prospect for a solid defenseman who was starting to age a tiny bit. Was still a pretty decent defensive-minded defenseman, but at this point, I think you gotta say the Washington Capitals won that deal. Like, at this point in time, Detroit has nothing to show for the Bowey for Jensen player swap at the trade deadline, but the Capitals have Chychrun and Protas to show for it. That's a win in my opinion for the Washington Capitals. Definitely definitely. I'll let your guys' thoughts. Who do you think won this trade now that it's been, what, 5 years since it's happened? Did the Red Wings win it by getting Bowey in a second-round pick, or did the Capitals win it by getting Jensen in a fifth-round pick that's turned into Chychrun and Protas? Definitely have your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video, and for those to subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this with all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Also, a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis. If that's going to check that out, if it's in the description below. I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.